Carrie came out with a video kind of questioning why Stephen A. Smith didn't have that same energy for Michelle Beadle that he may have had for Jasmine Crockett.
I just want to say, Black women, we have a tendency to be extra protective of each other to the point where sometimes the nuances may get lost.
At some point, you have to accept tough love from your friends.
I love Black people more, right? Because I'm Black. I relate. So when things affect us, it affects me more than it might in other communities. Am I supposed to keep the same energy?
Anytime there's any type of critique or criticism, it's immediately labeled as problematic.
Is it Meg Thee Stallion's fault for the downfall of Klay Thompson?
She's there, presumably, to help make his situation better. Because if she's not making it better, then what is she there for?
Whenever a man starts going downhill, it's always the woman that's responsible for it. But when he's on the rise, that woman's by his side, rarely gets the credit for him being the great person that he is.
When Russell Wilson, got with Sierra, the game started to slip. Same thing with like Carmelo and Lala. There's a pattern that we see in these high-profile relationships.
She's not giving edified, upgraded vibes. She's giving a good time vibe.
Women in open or poly relationships get a lot of disrespect from other women.
The entire society that we live in was built on telling women that she can only have one.
Some of y'all are too busy looking down on other women to your own detriment because the truth may be staring you right in the face.
While they're judging the poly chicks, they can't even get a text back. I mean, it's crazy.
Welcome to yet another episode of the BLC Pod. And I got all my people with me, the Fantastic Four in the building. Man, I felt like S&M, girl. I missed you. You know what I mean? I was gone. You was gone. Happy to see you back. We'll get to that. Before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and all that good stuff. And of course, we got the merch, y'all. Right? I'm toxic. She's toxic. We're toxic. So go ahead and get you that merch. This episode is brought to you in part by, you guessed it, the Glow Up Girls Trip. Listen, ladies out there, I know you need it. Who's paying attention to you but me? You know what I'm saying? All that work you do for the family. That's right. Use the code BLC Pod and get your money off to go ahead and get you off. You heard what I'm saying? The Glow Up Girls Trip brought to you by Seamless. With that being said, like I said, we got our people with us at S&M. How are you, girl? I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. Hugs.
Hey. So,
Brazo, I think in Spanish. What's happening?
So I'm excited to be back on the show. It was a great trip to, we won't name the cold place I visited, but just know I was grounded in Chicago due to snow, and that made me very unhappy. However, with that being said, I did have the occasion today, actually, to speak about one of our new shirts that's coming out, and that was the Blame God. Do you want to know why? Somebody asked me, why are you like this? And I said, blame God. And they said, what? That's just diabolical. And I said, once again, blame God. So I'm looking forward to our new line of shirts coming out with the new sayings because I cannot wait to rock this shirt. And the first person who's going to see it is going to be him. And it's like, blame God. Hit the button.
You heard? Yes, S&M, I like that. I can't wait to get me one of them shirts. You heard what I'm saying? Speaking of, products that you might be able to purchase. My brother, Mr. Goodwood's in the building. You heard, man. What's happening, Jay? Look at me. I finally said it. Look at that. I feel more comfortable.
You did it. I appreciate it. Yeah. I appreciate the love. Thank you. It only took like 10 months. So, but it's special to me because I need a little boost, you know what I'm saying? I need some extra life right now. I'm feeling a little under the weather. Seasons changing, sinuses and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? Got me feeling like, am I sick? Right? And then I started thinking, right? You know how people get sick and they wonder, like, where they been, where they might have got it from or whatever? Turns out there's a list of cities that are high in STDs. And while I was glad Dallas is not on the list, you know what I'm saying? And Houston, shout out to Houston. Y'all did not make the list. Good job.
I'm surprised.
You're not in the top 20. You know what I mean? It's like dodging a bullet, like the Matrix. But my people in Jackson, first off, nah. Philadelphia, you're number one. What's going on, y'all? Come on, man. That joint ain't cool. Yeah, You said still number one. Memphis,
Since
number
Tom
two,
Hanks
Jackson.
and Denzel Washington was in the movie. No, I'm just I'm sorry.
That's wrong. It's so wrong. All right, well, I want to wrap this by saying shout out to Jackson. You're number 3. One time for not being number 1 at something. And hey guys, you got something else to do. That's my hometown. People, wrap it up. I'm coming down there, and I gotta be social distance from everybody. It's crazy. Anyway, yeah, glad to be here, man. Look forward to the conversation. It's always live with the people. So glad you guys are both back here together. You know what I mean? It's nice.
We are different people. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, it's now proven.
People are asking in the
it's
comments.
Now proven. As if you don't disagree enough to prove that anyway.
It should be fake disagreeing anyway. but let me ask you a quick question though. Name one thing that Jackson is number 1 in. You had said, the converse. I was just curious.
Jackson is number 1 in churches on the corner.
Praise him. Thank you for that.
Won't he do it?
Speaking of doing it, and a man who will, we got Delvin the expert in the building, who's an expert at doing whatever it is that he does. You're like Tommy, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck you do for real. You don't even have a job for real.
No, I'm just good at doing odds and ends, handyman, But it's all good. I make it work, But you know who's not making it work? And I'm having a better week than them. The young lady, and she committed herself, off the record, of course, to being in a situationship of a decade. And the guy, of course, didn't marry her. And now she's suing him for wasting all of her prime fertility years. So, you know what? She's basically trying to make situationships a crime if it doesn't work out. I think that's really sketchy for everybody in a situationship. I thought that was supposed to be the marriage light, the alternative to committed marriage, because I thought it was a piece of paper. But she's saying no, situationships, whether it's 5 or 10 years, doesn't matter. You used my good window for having kids, even though nobody forced her to be in this situationship, which is really strange. So that's my weekly lack of accountability watch. So next week, I'm sure I'll have something else. This is quite bad for the pro situationship crowd. So you guys be careful.
Yes. Thank you for that, Delvin. You mentioned accountable. I think you did, right? And we got these new shirts coming out called Accountable as Fuck. You know what I'm saying? Which is going to be available soon. I don't know that too many women will buy it, but we know the hope is still there. I was thinking about getting another shirt that says, because it's like accountable, yes, no, and as fuck. And I'm going to get the as fuck one, right? I'm going to ask y'all about that in a second. But I was thinking for women, there should be one that says NA. You know what I mean? Yes, no.
Can we get a maybe instead of NA?
No, because for some of y'all, it's not applicable. Now, what's funny is I could apply this to some women I know. And for me saying that, some people might be like, damn, Nick, you shady as fuck, right? And then I thought about that too, because another shirt that we got coming out called Shady as Fuck. And apparently my co-hosts think I'm shady as fuck. And I thought about it. I'm like, well, why would you say that? Is it because I can speak the truth, but with soft words, right? Is that what makes it shady? But then I realized that sometimes your intelligence can be so way high, right? That to the people below, it may seem like shade. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, is that shady?
Yes, that was shady, sir. That was shady, sir.
That's deep, though. There's metaphors there, girl. There's layers and levels. You know what I mean?
Which I heard and still
you,
ended up being shady as.
Yeah, he said, I'm naturally up here and you're naturally down there. So it seems like
it's not judgment, it's physics.
I'm going to go ahead and blame God on that one too then. How about that?
No, listen, we were getting some shirts designed, right? And it was like, well, what would be a great way to exemplify shade? And you think about a tree. But then when you think about a tree, you think about a tree being up on high, right? And then it branches out in thought and it just covers people who are below, right? And so to the people below, I can see how being a tree can feel shady as fuck. You know what I'm saying? So that's number 2. And lastly, speaking of the accountability part, I need y'all help with this one, right? To me, I feel like accountability is to hold oneself to account. right? Like I feel like, how do we define accountable? Because for me, I feel like I'm accountable as fuck, right? But I feel like where people get off is whether or not your accountability ends up with the action that they want you to do. Y'all following me so far? Right? Because, like, for example, if I says I'm a horrible husband or a horrible uncle or a horrible brother or a horrible son, I can hold myself to account honestly that I am horrible in these areas, right? I feel like I am being accountable, right? But if I don't give a fuck in terms of whether or not that's the truth and my actions don't change, does that make me less accountable or accountable as fuck, right? Because I'm saying, yes, yes, I am these things, right? I earnestly, honestly, not facetiously, can't even say, right? I'm saying this. I agree. You are right. I can point to examples, right? And I'm holding myself to account because to account means to, hey, this is what it is, right? But if I don't change behavior, right, am I less accountable? I'm asking my esteemed panelists, what are your thoughts?
You're very accountable. I think you should get the accountable as fuck T-shirt and on the front and the back, and maybe something on the side too, just so you got full coverage.
So you're saying you agree that to hold ones to account is one thing and it's separate from change behavior. This is a real thing. I'm asking for real.
No, I agree. I completely agree.
I think the accountability is in the eye of the beholder. It's all about who you're accountable to. So if once a person is accountable to themselves and they're saying, listen, this is who I am, this is what it is, right? Then anybody else that comes to hold them to account, all they get is a fuck. So yeah, accountable as fuck.
Any thoughts?
So I was going to co-sign on Jay's comment there, and then the last part kind of threw me off. I was like, wait a minute, hold on a second. But I do agree with all of that. But I also agree that the only person that matters that you're accountable to is yourself, as long as it's not influencing and affecting other people. In the sense of they're like, oh, you weren't accountable to me. Like as a wife, I would want my husband to have some type of accountability to me to hold himself a certain way. But I will also co-sign on the fact that you are accountable as fuck. Even when you shady as fuck, you accountable as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Because you're accountable within the shade that you're throwing.
That's
So
true. I do admit that. Yeah, you're right. I probably am. You're right. I don't change behavior. I still am gonna be shady as fuck, right? If I
You
want
made
to be,
peace with it.
yeah, right. But you both do bring up a good point in the sense that I think where I was only thinking about myself, you guys were mentioning that sometimes it's who you're accountable to, right? That person can set a standard and say, well, this is what I think accountability looks like. And you have to meet that threshold, right? And so thank you for that, you guys. Yeah, look at that. Look at, oh, y'all helped me on this. You know who else needs help? You know what I'm saying? Klay Thompson. Is it Klay Thompson? He's disappeared from the basketball so much that I almost forgot his name. You know what I'm saying? Like he is way down on the bench. Klay is coming off of the bench these days, and he was talking about how he was just happy to be here. I literally saw him on a clip today, and it was, for all, just to be honest with y'all in the public, we had this conversation yesterday. We were talking about this topic. And so before it was just simply about how, or is it Meg Thee Stallion's fault for the downfall of Klay Thompson, right? This is the Splash brother. He was with Steph Curry and them back in the day. You know what I mean? I mean, swish. This brother, I think, scored 37 points on like 16 bounces or some shit like that, right? Marksman. You know what I mean? He left them. He's in Houston right now. Is it Houston? Right? Is it no, he's Dallas, which is right up the street, right? And they don't have as much STDs as Philly. But the point is that apparently him and Meg Thee Stallion, they be having videos, they're going out to eat, and people are surmising, like, bro, is this the reason, the cause for his downfall? I mean, let's be honest, this is Meg Thee Stallion. She's already caused one shooter to go down. Is this a second situation where she's about to end Klay Thompson too? What are you guys' thoughts?
First, not the Tory Lanez reference there, who, by the way, lost his
That was
appeal.
good.
So them 10 years, he good to go there. I would just say that athletes go into slumps for a variety of reasons. It doesn't necessarily have to be her, although it could be a reason. I don't think so, though, because it's a variety of reasons. And ultimately, I think it's bullshit that they took the time to blame the woman that he's in a relationship with. And I find it's very common that whenever a man start going downhill for whatever reason or in a slump or for whatever thing, it's always the woman that's responsible for it. But when he's on the rise and he's doing great or whatever, that woman's by his side rarely gets the credit for him being the great person that he is. But God forbid if he goes into a slump, next thing you know, oh, it's her. Now, I will say that there probably could be some distractions in place, because dating high profile people does come with additional scrutiny. And so that's something that Meg and Klay has to recognize. And as a result of that, Meg technically need to play her role. I think from the interview that I saw, Klay is suffering from her reputation, so to speak, where for her reputation that preceded her has somehow damaged or influenced. But I gotta give Klay props because first of all, he took offense to the way they just basically objectified her. They didn't even bother to call her name. They was like, you just got distracted by some pee, And so I think the fact that he stood up for her, kudos to him because that shows that he's into it to win it, or at least he's into winning or something like that. Well, he's into winning something. It may not be on the court because he only scored like 7.4 points when they were talking about that. And I'm still trying to figure out what's the 0.4 came from. But I guess this is average, overall average so far for the season. Either way it goes, he still looks like a winner to me.
It's funny that S&M talks about being in it to win it, right? You think about winning, there's no I in team, right? It's a team thing. It's a partnership, right? She's there presumably to help make his situation better because if she's not making it better, then what is she there for, right? You don't see him out there trying to get on her tracks or whatever, trying to be in the, maybe videos. But you understand what I'm saying? He's not messing up her vibe, her hustle, right? I think as his girl, if she's that, then she has a responsibility to help make him help him to be the best version of himself he's trying to be. He definitely, like someone said earlier, there are lots of reasons for a slump. I'm not blaming the slump and taking it off of them, just saying if a man is so busy trying to please his woman that he is not reserving enough energy to conduct his business will be off. You know what I mean? Be there with man. Maybe he got weak knees now. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she snatched his soul too many times. I don't really know. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't there. I just know what she says in her lyrics. I know him from the court, her from the lyrics. The lyrics still going. The court thing's not happening. So somebody is taking their eye off the ball. See what I did there? You can't assign blame. We don't know the particulars. But I will say, if the woman in your life, the person in your life ain't making it better, then that's something you probably want to look at. Hands down, anywhere, anybody. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It could be a number of things, but we gotta admit there's a pattern. We've seen this before when these NBA guys or athletes when they get in a high profile relationship. I'm not talking about his high school sweetheart. When Russell Wilson, got with Sierra, then we started seeing the game started to slip. Same thing with like Carmelo and Lala. We got together and games started to slip. So I'm just saying there's a pattern that we see in these high profile relationships. He's a celebrity, she's a celebrity, and then after that, his game just starts to slip. I'm just saying I think there's a there there. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying correlation equals causation. I'm just saying we tend to see these things together. That's all I'm saying.
Nick, before you go, can I push back on something S&M said? I meant to mention. S&M talked about how the woman gets blamed for when the man is down, and she doesn't get the credit for when he's up. But by the same token, you hear women, and I'm not doing the male women bashing thing or whatever. I'm just giving the other side of the perspective here. At the same time, you hear women say, "Hey, I got you here. I made you this." No, maybe people don't give them the credit, but women definitely claim the credit for it. Behind every good man, there's a good woman or whatever. Or beside every good man, there's a good woman, right? So again, doesn't this land at her feet? If we're going to give women the credit for making men better, making them live longer, more successful, happier, whatever, does this not also land at her feet?
So this is an excellent question because you already answered it. The women stated it, not the men. So not the men in the sports world. They never gave the women credit. It was the women providing themselves with credit. And that's why it went that way. So what I pointed out was that these men rarely give, these podcasters, these sports commentators rarely give the woman credit when the guy is up, but they definitely give them credit when the guy is down, i.e. when they're failing. And so that was the difference in the response to your question, basically, is that you completely missed the point. As
No,
in, it was a layup and you missed the layup because
know
the
what's funny?
deflection, Your
layup.
Honor. Deflection.
Okay.
Go ahead, Nick.
Okay,
Deflection.
yeah,
though.
well, first of all, I don't know who to blame between Jay or SNM with that one, although I feel like SNM took the ball from Jay and scored a basket, so I can't be mad at her. I guess I can be mad at Jay, right? Because I'm going to be mad at Jay, right? Because I was about to say, first of all, I'm a man that does give women credit. So I don't know what the fuck y'all talking about. I've heard LeBron James give credit. Like, I mean, I think the smart niggas, especially those who are on top, who are able to exist in their sport and able to, be a parent and be a husband because of how supportive their wives are, I think all of those niggas give them credit. I don't know what universe that y'all living in. I know that whatever I accomplish in this life, my wife will absolutely get credit for the fact that she allowed me to be able to live in my own skin and go for my dreams and sometimes shirk my responsibilities at home because she was willing to hold things down. The fuck are y'all talking about? So that's why I feel like the whole credit conversation is like interesting to me, right? Because the truth of the matter is, this is not about, I'm going to attack the whole Meg Thee Stallion part first. Let's be honest. She doesn't have the best track record, right? I mean, she was kicking it with Tory. He's in prison. You know what I mean? I'm just stating facts, not making judgment, right? She was dating Party. I think he came out with a diss track in regards to how she was moving as a girlfriend in the relationship while he was being supportive and to her. And she was outside doing what the fuck she was doing and lying to him. So she hasn't given the best, she doesn't have the best track record of being a great girlfriend. So you see a guy like Klay Thompson, who looks like white bread for the most part, because he's giving John B. You know what I'm saying? They don't know what all this is. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever the fuck, right? And so it's like, oh, really? This is interesting. So yeah, it's getting people's attention. But back to Klay though. So yes, first of all, I'm just saying that I think when you're her, you have a track record. It's okay for people to say, she might just be negative for a nigga. Let me see her be with a nigga and the nigga's doing well for a consistent period of time, and then I'll get back to you. But up until then, the niggas that we've seen her with and how she's moved out here as a hot girl has come cold to me personally, as far as like seeing that she's gonna edify a nigga. She's not giving edify a nigga, upgrade a nigga vibes. She's giving a nigga good time vibes. She's giving, even her own songs talk about what she's here for. Right? Like, hey, pay me, do this, buy this, get a smell of this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna move like this. I mean, maybe she's grown, maybe she's mature, but we haven't seen that yet. So I think it's perfectly fine for people to just fodder about her in this way. Absolutely. But if we're gonna be honest, Klay is already checked out, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Klay is holding on to that a couple more checks before it's time to go. I could tell, I remember before the season started, I saw videos of him. I'm like, damn, Klay, you outside with her? Okay, cool. That told me something. It's more about Klay than it is about her. She just maybe represents where his mind is at, right? Where his heart is at. It's no longer in basketball, right? That's why I saw the interview today, and he's like, yeah, I'm just happy to still be in the game. I'm not saying that I'm ready to go. You just say, I'm just, that sound like a nigga who recognizes that his time is coming up, and while he's still in the limelight, he's going to go out with a bang. And by a bang, I mean Megan. You know what I'm saying? The Stallion. You know what I'm saying? Listen, he may not be able to hit the hole like he used to on the court, but he's like, fuck it. I can hit the hole in a whole new way off the court. You know what I'm saying? So kudos to Klay, you know what I'm saying, for recognizing he's in the sunset of his career. He was a great player. Probably going to be, is he top 75? You know what I'm saying? But a marksman off the court, he is not. So I will end with a final warning to my good brother Klay. Be careful. Be careful, because you're not giving that you understand what this girl could do to you, my boy. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes niggas think they're him, despite the evidence that the bitch is dangerous. And by bitch, I mean, I'm not her specifically. I'm just saying in general, but yeah, kind of her for real, wink, wink. And so, Klay, be careful, my boy. You've had a great, pristine career up until now, okay? And just because you are in Dallas don't mean you got to get caught up in Houston on some fuck shit, okay? Take your ass back to California where you belong with the bitches that you belong with, because she is not it. You heard me? That's all I
That's crazy as hell. Not you saying she's a shortstop.
Yeah, he's
not a
there
rest
for a short
stop.
time, not a long time. Enjoy, my boy.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But you know who else should have been careful? Brene Kennard. She should have been careful because she decided to take somebody's husband in the great state of North Carolina. And so it turns out there is an alienation of affection law in North Carolina, and she recently lost her case to the tune of $1.75 million. And just to add a little bit more context here, so basically, Brene and her husband, by the name of Devin, was dating, or they were married, and they were hanging out with Devin's cousin by the name of Tim. And Tim and Akira was in a relationship. And later on, Akira found videos, which I don't understand folks leaving video evidence, but they found video evidence of them engaging in a long-term relationship from December and whatnot. And in the end, these two moved in together. She filed a lawsuit claiming humiliation, alienation of affection, and abandonment, and so forth. And she won. So my question for you guys, is this something that should still exist in 2025? And can you put a price on emotional betrayal? But more importantly, do you think these rulings actually protect marriage? Or is it to punish the woman? Because technically, the husband was the one who cheated. So why did she sue the woman for alienation of affection? But it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, could this be a deterrent? What are you guys' thoughts?
It's definitely a deterrent. Anytime somebody hit your pockets, it's going to deter somebody. Somebody going to be like, ooh, I don't want that to happen to me. But is it avoidable? You know what I'm saying? Is it a risk that you could avoid? Yeah, if you like that one guy I saw on social media who has everybody sign NDAs, you know what I'm saying, for everything up front, even before they have sex or anything. Hey, we're going to go out on a date, sign these NDAs, these agreements. If you get pregnant, he maps the whole thing out. If you're doing that, then maybe. But other than that, basically what it says is, if you're going to sleep with somebody, if you're going to be the side person, you need to go ahead and work it out where you can meet the wife. You know what I mean? Get out in the open. Get out in front of it. You know what I'm saying? Get a picture with a selfie. Boop, see? No, it ain't no problem. Because if you working her on the back end and she can come back in later on, when you get that man, when he finally leave her, do whatever, because, you know, you've been waiting on it, whatever, then you got problems, right? And he doesn't have to leave if y'all can work out the introductions. I know everybody's not poly, but everybody should be having conversations. Everybody should be communicating more. This is a problem of see, the way I understand it, he was staying with the chick while he was talking to the other chick that he ended up leaving with. So she had some rights there. Now, the fact that she went for alienation of affection and didn't go for like the rent she paid or whatever, as a guy, I mean, I guess it'd make you, I'll be toxic. I guess it make you feel kind of good though, right? You're like, shit, girl, my love is worth 1.7. You know what I mean? Don't sleep on this shit. You know what I mean? I got $1 million love. So shout out for him, but everybody else, communicate better, people, because they'll bite you in the butt. I think it's dangerous. But I think people gonna move how they move. So get some papers.
Yeah, I think this is really, really questionable. Again, it's like what I talked about earlier on the kind of criminalizing situationships. I thought that's what everybody wanted. You know, nobody wants to do poly, but nobody wants to be monogamous either. So here we are. I mean, the 1.75 million, the alienation of affection, she could have sued the husband. I guess maybe it doesn't work that way, but I think he's the one who knew he was married. So I think that's really kind of outdated. You know, the whole, oh, I'm gonna sue the Jezebel or the harlot because she broke up my family. My husband was an innocent victim, and she just got him with her feminine charm and feminine wiles, and now here we are. He just couldn't resist. I think that's some antebellum BS, and having this law. You know what would really be impressive? I would be okay with the alienation of affection law if it worked both ways. If she wasn't giving him the cheeks, that's alienation of affection. If you don't want to give me no buns tonight, cool. I'm gonna call my lawyer because I'm being alienated from affection. If it worked both ways, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But if one direction alienation of affection, got a problem with it. I just gotta stand on that. That's my take.
I'm trying to okay. I'm trying to like work it out in my head because I feel like there's an easy way and there's a hard way. Pause if necessary,
The
right?
hard way.
Yes, I said pause. And you should say pause too, the way that you said the hard way, like the way you should
Pause. Add that in there in post-production.
I mean, because okay, y'all. Okay, I don't think that this. I don't know a lot about this law, but I'm going to assume that it's not gender based. And what I mean by that is, if the circumstances are such that a person that has close proximity to your relationship and it can be proven that they have did things to lure or to take your partner away from you. In other words, alienate them affection-wise, right? Do you have a case there? Apparently, the state of, was it North Carolina, has such a situation to the point that there was a jury or a body that was convened for this, and they made this judgment, or, this happened legally and lawfully, right? So I get that we may not agree with it, but I'm always curious because I want to know, what's the circumstances that make sense. So from what I understand, this woman is a TikToker, right? I don't know. I mean, if 1.75 is not a small number. So are they alleging somehow that this woman who had influence as an influencer, who's making money, and she comes along into your husband's life, maybe through you, right? She wouldn't have had access to him otherwise. And then she uses her popularity to court your husband away from you, right? And apparently the state feels like if you can prove this out, then it's deserving of a financial award. Now, if it was a dude who was doing this, okay, cool. The problem is that maybe most dudes wouldn't be man enough to go through with it, right? Or maybe they'd feel like they're too man enough. Let me say it that way, right? You wouldn't sue the other nigga. Yo, man, if you took my bitch, I'm going to sue you.
I will see you in court, sir.
So y'all always want to do the this and that thing, but the truth is, if the law was gender neutral, niggas just wouldn't do it. The same way niggas don't, report being abused. Niggas don't do a lot of things because we're men and we're not supposed to do a lot of things. So I don't think that's the fairest assessment, just in terms of trying to always go tit for tat, just because there's some things that I agree with or that I think most men agree with or won't do. So that's why it's unequal in that way. But, if you're talking about somebody who surreptitiously, who under the guise of your friendship, who, over time, methodically or whatever, you can prove it, that they worked on, they zeroed in. I mean, out of all the people in the world that Shorty could have got with, you had to get with her, man. You know what I'm saying? So even just aside from the lawsuit part, there's a questionable character part that I think sometimes is going to yield an outcome that you're going to have to pay for. And in this particular case, it took form of a lawsuit, which she lost. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the details of their relationship. I can only imagine if Shorty felt like, yo, you're my best friend, you're my homegirl, I'm telling you all my secrets, I'm letting you in on the relationship shit, and you're using that information against me, yada, yada, yada. I'm not mad at it, to be honest with you. I guess what I'm ultimately saying, I'm not mad at it, because I feel like if you can prove something in court, yada, 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 if you have something to lose, yada, 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 then you just got to be smart enough to move a certain type of way. And if you can get got like Shorty just got, then shit, I hope the dick was worth it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think somebody mentioned it earlier, like if you're the guy, I feel great. You know what I'm saying? You want this dick so much that you risked 1.75. I mean, I feel like you're a broke person. This ain't for you. Like, what the person going to sue you for? You know what I'm saying? You're a snap. Are you getting those payments now? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are they going to get for you for referral, right? But if you got 1.75, maybe you should be a little bit more picky and choosy about whose nigga you stealing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Or maybe you can just find your own nigga. You know what I mean? But yeah, I ain't mad. I mean, I hear what y'all saying, but I ain't mad. I am not mad at all. Go ahead, SNM.
So it's actually crazy because she met the guy through his cousin. She was married to his cousin, and then they moved to the same area, and she ended up basically sleeping with her husband's cousin, who so happened to have a wife as well. So they did a lot of double dating. And yes, that's 100%. They were able to prove that she targeted this dude. And they were able to prove, because apparently they were having long conversations and almost soliloquies of how they liked each other and all the sexual positions they enjoyed together and the thrill of doing it behind their significant other backs and so forth, before they finally decided to move in with each other, right? The big part about it is that she paraded this entire relationship on TikTok, the entire relationship. And she kind of chronicled, the start, like, oh, this is our love story, And so she basically was her own downfall. Not only was she her own downfall, I say kudos to the woman, aka Akira, who decided to use this antiquated law to get this money, because I did some research and it turns out, for the most part, only women. So to Nic's point, only women actually filed against other women. The one thing I would disagree with, though, is that as far as women using this, it's like, why you always go after the woman? Like, he knew he was married and she knew he was married. So why not go after both of them? Why just go after the woman? That's true.
He's broke. You already know his financial situation. Y'all be asking some obvious questions sometimes. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, though, for principle purposes, because to me, it's also a moral thing, right? And so it's like morally he was in the wrong as well, just like she was. So I would want to put him on papers as well, so that, hey, yeah, I'll get the money from her because she's the one with the money, right? But at the same time, I still want to get something from him as well if this is the route I'm going to go. I think it's just basically crazy as hell that this law actually worked and that it has occasionally worked. So if you're in North Carolina, go ahead and be careful, because there's not a lot of states that has this alienation of affection law. So go ahead and be careful with who you decide to cheat with, like Nick stated. And if you got the money for the honey, just be ready to pay up. Because if you're not ready to pay up, then you're going to end up paying out some way, somehow. Think carefully.
Now the alienation of affection law, I'm gonna have to study up on this more. I'm really curious. Is it only applied in cheating, or does it apply in a withholding of affection inside the marriage?
So let's follow that logic, though, right? What guy's gonna do that, Delvin? I know you're fighting for this, my boy. I get it, but what guy is going? And then on top of that, right? What are you gonna get out of it? Like, you're gonna sue her for what? What? You're the one most likely gonna pay. So what you gonna reduce your payments?
1.75, I guess.
Right. And I think the spirit of the law, if I'm being honest, because I think the two people within the relationship have the liberty and autonomy to manage that relationship from their vantage point. I don't think it even makes sense, and maybe if I'm thinking about this, to want to sue the other person because they don't feel like having sex with you. There could be a myriad of reasons. You have to prove it, right? But if it does end up in a divorce, then what are you looking for? Because ultimately you have a division of assets, right? And if you're making more money, I guess what would be the end result of, hey, can I use this in this particular application, right? Because you'd have to say that this is why the relationship failed, right? And then on top of that, you'd have to have evidence to suggest that this was like malicious or, you know what I mean? So I just I think in the case of having outside people unnecessarily or whatever the word is, meddling or purposefully doing something is to protect the marriage between those two people. Right. And I do get that a little bit. Right. I do think that if you value marriage, just as a person, for me, if I value marriage, and maybe I won't try to interfere negatively in somebody else's, right, just off a GP. Right. But if for people who really believe in marriage, it doesn't make sense to say, hey, Jezebel, harlot, step the fuck away. You know what I'm saying? From my nigga. You know what I'm saying? And if not, and you got some coins, bitch, I'm coming after you. It's a remix to the Hey Shirley conversation. Instead, she's serving the bitch with the fucking papers. You know? Bitch, she got served. Woman to woman. Go ahead, Jay, my bad.
I mean, it's a personal agency thing for me. Like I said, he was married. I mean, the vows are between them. I mean, it's not on her, the outside woman, to give a fuck about your relationship. I mean, if she do, great. I mean, I appreciate that. That's awesome. But
so I want to help you on this one. Wait, let me help him on this one.
Yeah.
I said she was married too.
Right.
Do you see Devin suing his cousin Tim for alienation of affection?
He didn't, right?
He sure didn't.
Yeah. Like you said, most guys aren't going to do that. I mean, this is kind of a, it's very estrogen laced law.
Hence co-signing on Nick's point. Hence, move on from your point, sir.
So. Damn it, I don't forgot my point, man. All these I was going to ask y'all a really good question, but I totally forgot. Go ahead, man.
Moving from the brotherhood of men back to women's incivility against women, I was thinking about a study I came across, right, and an article, and it talked about how women in open or poly relationships get a lot of disrespect from other women. Like the other women seem to believe that the women in these relationships, even though they have given their consent and they're in full understanding and all that, they're knowing what's going on, everything's checked out, they somehow still seem to think that these women are broken or that they're being taken advantage of. And it's weird because, they say the men in these relationships are always like held to such high regard, right? They're shown as powerful, as being virile or whatever, right? And then the women are somehow broken, although both are consenting adults in the same space. So I guess my question to you is, do you think there's hate there? And if so, why, guys? Why all the hate? Is in this era of female freedom and the vocalization of the woman's voice and her strength and her body, her choice, why is it then that female desire still equals dysfunction? Why do people equate the two? Why do you think because a woman's in touch with her sexuality, somehow there's something wrong with her mentality, that she's traumatized or something? So, what do you think? Is there something here, or I'm overlooking something?
I want to start my commentary by saying that one of the greatest gifts that God has given me is the ability to look beyond myself and understand where people are coming from. So,
Okay.
right. So it's important to state because, like, on the one hand, there is a hate train there, but I want to get to that in a second. I also want to get to the first here, which is some of these chicks are ugly. so, some of like,
How is that relevant?
so, 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 so,
Okay, which ones? The haters or the open poly? What are you saying here? Go on, elaborate.
I'm, I'm about to. Okay. What I'm saying is that if you look at a group of women and they all don't present the best, right? Like if you lined up, first and foremost, a lot of people may not know a lot of people in these types of relationship dynamics, right? Maybe you go to the grocery store and you see a guy with two chicks, they look kind of dusty, you know what I'm saying? And you make a judgment, right? If you, I'm just being honest, right? They both are getting into like a little small car. A lot of times when I hear people talk about poly, especially in the context of American capitalism, you'll hear women say things like, most Black men can't afford poly, right? And they're putting it in that context. That's because them women who say this, have a standard. I've heard women say, yes, you can do this if you can afford that. Right. So it's not to say that these women would not be okay with certain types of relationships. It's just that they make a judgment in terms of what they would need for them to be in that relationship. So when they see other people who are not moving in such a way that's commensurate with what they think their standards are, they're looking down on those women and they're making judgment on those women. And I'm just saying sometimes aesthetically, if they appear like a duck and they talk and walk like a duck, I could see why some women would say quack, quack. Right? I mean, are we going to pretend like only couples that we see are the fine ones? I mean, even though Neo is rich and he is a celebrity, I mean, he got four, but come on, are we talking four dimes? I mean, I'm not, no disrespect. no, no disrespect to Neo. No, because you love who you love. And those women are very attractive. I'm just saying that I think people have this bar that they have in their head of who the person is and what they should have in that situation. So if you're a woman and you're like, okay, yes, I wouldn't mind being a sister wife, they imagine the guy has to be fucking Hugh Hefner or some type of top tier nigga. If they don't see that, they automatically assume that he's busted or dusty or they're below station because it doesn't meet the standard for them in terms of what they'd be open towards. So I do get the question of whether or not it would be, hey, I'm just suggesting there's another way to look at it because for them, they're just so against the idea of sharing. Right. The truth is, a lot of people didn't grow up from being kids. A lot of people never learned how to share their toys. You get what I'm saying? So when it comes to penis or men or relationships, women in general, and probably people in general, are very possessive. So it would take a lot for them to imagine sharing that thing that they value or quote to value so much. So yes, are there some women who are hating? But I feel like even the hating women, like imagine if there were some bad bitches. Matter of fact, I remember I saw a video of two women who are highly attractive with a dude. I would find it very difficult for most women who would be haters to be like, oh, they must be this, that, and the third. Because the truth also is that women are superficial as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like they judge each other. So depending on how that woman looks may dictate what she chooses to accept from that woman. You dig what I'm saying? So for some women, yes, you're dusty. Oh my God, you're desperate. How could you do that? For other women, it's like, oh shit, she must got something. She must know something. I don't know, right? It just depends on how the women present. And unfortunately, and I'll land with this, since a majority of people, whether you're a poly or a mono, are unremarkable to begin with, right? Regardless of the relationship style, right? A majority of them are not going to elicit, ooh, I want to be like them. It just so happens that monogamy is the main thing. So, of course, we romanticize that. But there's a bunch of mediocre relationships that people point to because, hey, what else am I going to do? So, yeah, it might be a little bit of hate, Jay. A lot of hate, I would say. I just think a lot of it is, people just think they're better than their station in life. And they judge in ways to make themselves feel better. Hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is a lot of hate, and the thing about when women say, "Oh, well, he doesn't make enough money, or he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that." What I hear is, "I'd be poly for pay. If you can get up
Mm.
here." So I'm not really monogamous. It's just I'm monogamous because you don't make enough money. But if you did make enough money, then you reach the sister wife tier, and then we can unlock that like the new levels on Battlefield 6. So that's what they're kind of telling on themselves. And even the guys who do meet those criteria, they still get a lot of crap too, like the Cam Newtons and Nick Cannon. They do have as much money, wealth, and status as that meets these women requires, and women still shit on them. So I think the real issue is the men who do qualify for these, the poly relationships. Those men are also in these women's dating pool, the monogamous and the poly women. And the monogamous women are upset because the guys who can apply for this, you can't stop them because there's not that many of them. I looked it up. Scott Galloway calls this Porsche polygamy. And that's the guys who have enough wealth, social status, and influence that the rules monogamous women try to enforce them, they don't apply because you can't stop them. That's what they're really pissy about.
So I'm going to say this because I think one of the things that's missing from this entire conversation is the
Mhm.
fact that the society itself was built on telling the woman that she needs to be monogamous. The entire society that we live in was built on telling women that she can only have one. And therefore, that's how women are already conditioned to believe that there must be something wrong with this person in some cases because she's willing to be in a poly relationship. These women who may believe that are actually assuming that something is broken with her, i.e., the person who's in a poly relationship, simply because they think that woman may have lack of self awareness, or they may think any man is better than no man, or they may have their own emotional commitment type issues or some type of intimacy type issue, so that this works out better for them to be in a poly relationship. So the women who you're claiming are hated, it may not necessarily be hating outright. It's actually because we're already conditioned to believe that we're supposed to be in this monogamous relationship. Blame Disney if you want to blame anybody for that, because that's what we've been conditioned since we were little girls. And now we have this dynamic where it's say, oh no, there's this new lifestyle. It's not even new, it's actually an old lifestyle. But we have this lifestyle that is now becoming more prevalent in the US or in the Western culture. And now there's like, oh, well, why would you want to do that if you're supposed to be monogamous? Because that's what we were told. And so that's the part for I think we're misassuming when we talk about hate. Nick actually I give credence more than Nick when he talks about the hating style, because he's talking about where that hate may be rooted in, which is just basically disdain because they can't see themselves in that position or that person, or they're making assumptions about that person, right? Similar to what I just said in regards to they may feel like they can't get a man, their self-esteem may be low, they may feel like there's a litany of reasons. However, because I am pro-woman, and so I'm going to go ahead and do a pro-woman spill on this as well. I think that's actually doing a disservice to the women who are choosing poly. Because even if they were broken, how we don't know that poly relationship is healing them? How we don't know that that's building that sisterhood or whatever the form it may take for them? And I think that the fact that they're refusing to go by what society states what should be, i.e., monogamous, traditional, and so forth, is kudos to them, because we talk about women's empowerment. And this is part of those ways that women can be empowered is through their sexuality, through the way they choose this relationship. And let's be honest, men have been non-monogamous for centuries. And so women are just not catching up to like, you know what, maybe we should join the party, depending on how the poly relationship works, so to speak. For the most part, when men do poly, it's considered options, right? This is one of the things. But when women does it, we automatically assume that they may have issues, but that's only because of the conditioning of society that told us that as a woman, this is not something that we should want. This is not something that we should cherish. And that's the mind frame that we have to get away from, because from my understanding, and I'm not in the poly community or anything, so from my understanding, people who are in poly relationship actually are more honest in their communication than people who are monogamous relationship. And some people who are monogamous relationship are low key in poly relationships, and they just don't know about the other partner. So this is something that's worth exploring, but we also have to recognize that it's not always just they hating. Sometimes is life, it is what it is. And we have to recognize context, conditioning, and so forth so that we can move past that. Because if we don't add that context and that conditioning, then of course everything a woman does to another woman is hating. Of course we could perceive it that way.
I know society conditions women to think certain things, and society also conditioned women to have matching fathers for their kids. But here we are. So, I just think that social conditioning might be a weak leg to stand on. That's
I
all.
disagree right off the back. You know why I disagree? Because
Why is that?
especially in the Black community, if we go way back to the place where people don't want to talk about, but back in slavery, they didn't have the option to have the same husband or father for their kids because it was like that's where the word effort came from. I disagree. That's why we have mandingos. That's why we have all these sexual stereotypes that are associated with men. So no. Now, I will say that even when it comes to marriage, right, as far as having the same father, that is the ideal situation. But as you can see, even within our own community, this is a conversation that we're constantly having about single mothers because we're saying, oh, you shouldn't have children out of wedlock because that's conditioning there, but we've never seen that in true practice because it has been always acceptable. So therefore, the true conditioning is that it has been acceptable for women to have children out of wedlock and for men to abandon those children through whatever means, i.e. through forced social constructs such as jail, prison, and so forth, or through their own various means, i.e. they just decided they don't want to deal with the kid. So disagree.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jay. Please
Yeah,
bring us back.
because all right,
Please.
so so there's a lot being said here, and I can't shoot every red herring in the sky, but I'll just try to get what's most important. Women, yeah, you can blame the hate on conditioning, but you still have to acknowledge that there's hate. Okay, and while one may say it's conditioning, right? I think if we take a broader scope, we look at it biologically, women have a biological imperative for monogamy to secure resources and protection for themselves and their offspring, right? A man, he can create a child and he can whatever. He's not left with that burden. We talk about this ad nauseum in other mediums or other conversations. So I understand a woman's press for monogamy, right? But then what makes people better than animals is our agency and ability to look at a situation and adapt. Look at the numbers and go, there are more women than there are men. If every woman gets one man, there's some woman, she's like, hey, I know I said we were sisters, but F that girl. It's all for me now. Because where's the sharing? Especially if you got a good man who can do it, right? Who can support more than one person, emotionally, financially, however, right? You're just being selfish. You're literally robbing the community. So where some people say the hate is from conditioning, I say maybe it is from conditioning, but it's still hate. And once you recognize it's hate, you should be able to rise above the hate, right? Because regardless as to whether a person chooses to be monogamous or chooses to be poly, people are making their own decisions about what feels right for them and what works for them. And some of these relationships work well for multiple people, for more than just two. It's a communal thing, right? So what I really think is at the heart of it is people mad because they feel like somebody got the cheat code and they don't know how they can get there. You know what I mean? They're like, how you do that? The button, I don't get it. Girl, you better than me. I can't get them buttons. This person has found a way to be happy that does break some of the societal norms. It does color outside the lines, if you will, right? But they making it work, and they're vibing, and they're growing, and they're building. And you mad, son? Yeah, girl. You know why you mad? You mad because you feel like they got the cheat code, and nobody told you how to do it, or you just can't make your fingers work that way. You can't get your life, wrap your mind around that way, and that's okay. But don't hate the game. Don't even hate the player. Hate the fact that you haven't learned how to play better. Just elevate your game, people. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I gotta push back. I gotta push all the way.
Come on.
The more you talk, Jay, I was gonna let it slide, but the more you talk back, I got to push all. Because, bro, I don't think it's about women being jealous. Like, let's really break down the word hate. I think I spoke to it a little bit, but I just want to make sure I'm not confused. Because in truth, I don't think women are seeing other women in positions that they're envious of when it comes to this poly conversation. Let me just be clear about that. Because I think the way that I hear hate is like, oh, this person has something I want. The way that you just broke it down sounds like that. And I'm telling you, I have not seen, and they have not seen, enough relationships where you got two chicks and, ooh, I want to be one of those two chicks. There are not too many of those situations, my brother. I hate to break it to you. That's just fact. Even the Neo example that I brought up, I don't know two women who are out there like, ooh, I want to be like those bitches. No disrespect. This is just colloquial talk. I'm just saying, I don't think it's that jealousy, right? I mean, I think, let's be honest, right? And then this goes, now you got me over here on S&M side. I think anytime, because, no, dead ass, right? Anytime, like, if a woman has an issue with something, we can't automatically jump to it just being hate because it's with another woman to a certain extent. We have to define, what are we saying the hate is based off of? Do I think women hate on other women? Absolutely. They're typically in situations that they envy. That's why I started off by saying that. But you'd have to squint and look really hard to find a poly couple that a woman would say, hey, I want to be a part of that. Right? It's very hard to find that. It's not Nick Cannon. I don't know Nick Cannon, any of Cam Newton's. Like, name a guy who has a harem of women. You can say, yep, women want to be a part of that. Yes, we assume that someone will want to do that because of the money. But at the same time, like, even those women, I don't know other women who might want to envy them because they'll find other reasons to like hate on it. What I'm saying is, I think people are judgmental, right? They're making judgment calls, just like I was saying before. So if I don't see a woman who has something that I envy, that's not hating on, bro. That's just straight up judgment. It's looking down on. Like, why the fuck would I want to be in a relationship with a nigga and y'all ain't driving no fucking Bentley? Because that's where my standard is. That's where I think I should be. So if I don't see a woman that I envy or emulate or want to be like, there is not hate in the definition of hate that I would use that speaks to jealousy and envy, is what I'm saying. Right? There is the cattiness, there's the judgment that, yes, women are notorious for. And that's what I was saying earlier, but maybe it was a little less convoluted. So let me just get straight to the fucking point. You know what I'm saying? I think these women are judging some of these women. And if I'm being also honest, there might be some truth in it, bro, because we look at people and we make judgments all the fucking time. And when people are different, we have to make the judgment on whether or not we think they're better or worse. And a lot of times these folks are making the judgment that a lot of these people in these relationships are worse, right? And there is some merit to think that if I deserve a man on my own, which is what programming the S&M was speaking to, right? I deserve this. So if I see somebody else coloring outside the programming, I'm likely to think that there is a deficit there, just off of GP. Because most of women value, oh, I want my own nigga. So the concept of a woman accepting less than her own nigga does suppose that something is off or wrong about her, just if for no other reason that she's different. Right? She's willing to accept less than we were all promised, which speaks to the programming that S&M was talking about. And Devin, you're way fucking off on this because every fucking Disney movie sells these women. Every fucking Ken doll and Barbie dog sells these women on the idea that they actually deserve a whole nigga to themselves. The programming is thick. My brother, what the fuck are you talking about? Which leads me to my final fucking point, right? Because I'm a problem-solving ass nigga. Right? The problem is that, Delvin, they have been taught this. They have been programmed. It's up to us to suggest to sis, you might want to readjust your programming, right? Because the type of nigga that you want are not plentiful. We talk about this all the time in the red pill community. So why would we not say to them that, hey, we get it. Y'all been programmed a certain type of way, but from a logical standpoint, it makes sense for you to consider this option. So let me tell them, from a logical standpoint, it makes sense for y'all to consider this option because some of y'all ain't gonna get the whole man that you want. Right? So y'all too busy judging the other woman because you can look down on her because she's not fine enough, cute enough, have enough money, ain't moving enough. But the thing that she's doing might be the thing that you might want to consider. You know what I'm saying? So yes, they're looking down, but to their own detriment because some of these women might find a solution to their manless problem here. Right? Sis, you want that A-level guy, you only deserve 30% of him. I was actually thinking about this the other day. I should have a special. Some of y'all only deserve a partial boyfriend, and you know what? I got some time.
That's
you
a
know
fact.
what I'm saying? If you need an emotionally intelligent nigga who can give you about a good 15 to 20 hours, I got to talk to the wife about the sex part, but I'm just saying, some of y'all just need emotional support, know that somebody got your back, willing to listen to you and shit, you know what I mean? Can step in when you need, go out on a date once a week, twice maybe, I mean, right? So some of y'all only really need a partial nigga for real anyway. But y'all too busy overshooting your shot trying to get you a whole nigga, okay? Some of the whole nigga that you deserve may not even be worth 30% of the nigga that you really want. So you just got to really make some hard choices out here. I'm just saying that far more women should consider being in poly relationships. Some of y'all are too busy looking down on other women to your own detriment because the truth may be staring you right in the fucking face. You don't deserve a whole nigga anyway. So find you somebody who's willing to fuck with you, hold you down, and maybe take you and your kids on. Y'all build a little fucking family, and then y'all upgrade together. Like, stop looking down on people when it's probably your best fucking option. So I just want to be clear. I don't believe it's hate. I just think that people are too judgmental to their own fucking detriment.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely judgmental. And for the most part, while they're judging the poly chicks, they can't even get a text back. I mean, it's crazy. You know, you haven't had a man get on one knee to you ever. So I think that's a weird situation to find yourself in. So you gotta hate or you gotta be judgmental from a place of plenty, not a place of scarcity. It's really confusing. It's a mixed signals thing. And speaking of mixed signals, of course, on my weekly Science Watch, scientists have done studies and they have found as much as women say they want a guy who's loving and charming and faithful and makes a bunch of money and doesn't cheat and is emotionally available and writes poetry and watches The Notebook 3 times a year. That's not what they respond to. Studies suggest 2 out of 3 women love men who give mixed signals. He's emotionally unavailable. He doesn't text back in a timely manner. He doesn't call back. They like a guy with a little mystery, or at least they respond to men who have mystery and challenge, and he's a bit of a riddle and an enigma. So what do you guys make of the fact that women say they want these things, but they respond to these toxic things overwhelmingly? What do you guys make of that?
So I would love to answer that one. First, it's not that women like or love mixed signals. What it is,
Hmm.
they like men who build tension and interest and men who don't love bomb them and then disappear. And so, first of all, I'd like to point out a couple things, right? The first one is the clear interest sometimes because of the way we've been treated, not me personally, but the way we've been treated, women in general. The clear interest can be construed as one, love bombing. Two, it also has a sense of mistrust, distrust, because women are somewhat in this new dating age condition not to trust some men's intentions because it doesn't necessarily, they get all caught up in their feelings and then the guy disappears and they get ghosted after the guy showed clear interest, but he only showed clear interest until he got what he wanted, which was sex. And once he got that sex, it was deuces, I got it, I'm out. And so women distrust that. But at the same time, if someone's acting all mysterious, they're like, oh, maybe there's something here. Or they seem a little detached. It's like, maybe there's something here. Maybe I need to keep pulling this because women do like challenges occasionally as well, right? So they're like, well, maybe I should just keep pulling this thread and see where it goes. And he does just enough to keep her interested, just enough to keep her wanting to pull that thread. And so that's creating that tension and that excitement that she may need. Like I mentioned previously, that sometimes toxicity is mistaken for men tend to mistake toxicity, but it's really excitement that woman is craving, right? So you mentioned like poetry in the park. Maybe her ass don't like poetry in the park. Maybe she want to go rollerblading in the park. And that may be something unique and different to her or to him. And it's like, oh, that's something I would have never thought to do or would have done in the first place. And so the mysterious man is actually just more appealing because women aren't used to men having emotional depth. Let's be honest about it. Women aren't really used to men being emotionally intelligent. Let's be honest about that. That's why we're saying, oh, we want emotionally intelligent men, and then we don't know what to do with it when we get the emotionally intelligent man because we're not used to it. We're still used to the whole, oh, the stoic, the non-communicator, and so forth. And at some point, we actually kind of expect that because it goes back to conditioning again. And so when I hear this about 2 out of 3, I'm actually not surprised. I'm not surprised at all because sometimes women will mistake that emotional unavailability for, oh, he's been intense or, oh, I need to heal him or I'm going to be the person that gets him to change or I'm going to be the person to change him because women also like to be change makers. They like to take somebody, not recognize who they are and try to build them into somebody who they want them to be. And they view that as that going back to that whole challenge situation. However, I will note if a woman keeps choosing a man that's giving mixed signals, then there's clearly something wrong with her. There's clearly something that she needs to evaluate within herself because that's a pattern. And a lot of times women don't recognize that the problem is them and not necessarily the man. The problem is them and why they keep choosing the same type of man i.e. the mixed signal man versus the one who's clear interest, if that clear interest doesn't it's not just love bombing or is built up over time versus oh, I'm gonna love bomb and then go ghost because I got the cootie, So but ultimately, I think both genders, because I'm gonna have to pull a Devin here, both genders confuse unpredictability with passion, right? It's just it's like a universal human flaw, right? It's not just related to just women or females. It's also men and males, because ultimately, sometimes you're like, oh, she's exciting. That's why men have a tendency to go for that bad bitch, that toxic bitch, because they're looking for the exact same thing. And that bad bitch, toxic bitch, is giving that same type of mixed signals. So I think it's a universal thing. But ultimately, if someone's constantly choosing someone who's giving them mixed signals, then there's to be some self-reflection on their part, because clearly the problem is them and not who they're looking at.
Well said. At least the last part. Clearly the problem is them, the women, and not who they are looking at. Yes, what S&M said on that. Because it screams toxicity on a cellular level, right? You said there were women who were like, yeah, we want you to come heal. We want these men to have it together. Want them to be able to express their feelings and come with be intentional and know what you want and speak your mind and don't
dating
bullshit.
with purpose.
Just date with it. Yeah. Come straight with it. And at the same time, they're asking for something they're not even ready for. Right? They're not ready for it. By your own admission, they were like, oh no, we're not, you're healed now. We're not ready. I'm not ready to have these hard conversations. I'm not ready for accountability. I'd rather deflect and say, well, men do it too. Sorry, I digress. Anyway.
Shady as
He was having a flashback.
It comes from a distrust, right? An innate distrust. It comes from the presumption that there is something flawed in every man and that she has to find it. So now you got a man with his stuff together, got to fake like his intentions aren't straightforward. He got to play a zigzag just so he can give her the show and dance that she's expecting, even though he's a straight up dude. That's tragic and toxic, and it's not right. And no matter how you guys try to make it okay, it's wrong that 2/3 of the women like a dude who is not a straight shooter. They want to be lied to some. They like the girl in Hustle and Flow. I know sometimes you mess my mind. Man, there's layers to that. See, that's like a pun. But my issue now, Elaine, with this is it's problematic. It's problematic because what it essentially says, where you say it's due to women wanting excitement and they want stimulation and they want whatever, what they're saying is, I can't trust a good thing enough to let it just be good and let it be consistently good. I won't trust it unless I can see that it's flawed and see where it's flawed early on. So much that a man, if he really wants to land this chick, got to fake his flaws. Man. Or just don't be, you know what I'm saying? Just be see, that's a problem though. Like sometimes you just so fly, right? That flaws and all, people be digging it. And they still were like, he's too perfect, he's too whatever. Guys, we should start a support group. Those of us, I know we're out there, I'm talking to my people. I got 2 of them with me. Y'all know how it is. The struggle is hard, but it's all the women's fault in this case. At least 2/3 of them. Y'all tripping. Y'all making it harder than it has to be.
I feel like, without doing a deep dive, sometimes these studies and these questions are supposed in such a way that it gives us fodder to talk about, right? Mixed signals versus clear interests. I guess I'd want to do a deeper dive even in that. Like, what would constitute as mixed signals? Like, if a woman is answering this question, the guy says, or the survey says, who are you more attracted to, right? Because I feel like when I hear clear interest off rip without knowing what mixed signals are, and maybe that's the point, right? But the idea of being thirsty is a thing. It's become very pervasive in our community. I don't know that it was always the case. I think growing up, there was a certain thing about being persistent. Right? It used to be a thing like niggas used to beg and whine with the Keith Sweat and all that, right? It used to be romantic to be persistent in that way. And then somewhere along the way in the culture, it became thirsty, right? And so, I think a woman answering this survey today may see clear interest as thirst. But it doesn't mean that she necessarily prefers the mixed signals that we are suggesting that she may Now I will be honest enough to say that as a man who's used mixed signals to great effects, it is effective, right? So we're not going to pretend like, from a strategy perspective. Now, when I say it's effective, my definition is it's kind of like aloof. It's enough interest to let you know I'm interested, but it's not enough for you to feel secure, right? And I think a lot of women get kind of caught in that purgatory a little bit, right? It's not enough to trigger your fight or flight, or was it fight or flight? But it's enough because you're interested to kind of keep you paralyzed, keep you kind of there a little bit. And then let's be clear. If she's not attracted to you, it doesn't fucking matter if it's clear interest or mixed signals, right? That's the other caveat that I feel like is missing. Because the truth, if we dig a little bit deeper and we're talking about mixed signals, I'd be willing to bet that the caveat is it's from niggas that she is attracted to, right? It's not from the niggas that she's not attracted to, right? So there's an attraction there. All that man has to do is just give her a little bit, right? To, hey, I'm interested, but not enough to where she's secure in that, oh, I got him, right? And that's the interesting space that a lot of players know how to keep things at for a while, right? Because it does build interest and anticipation. And unfortunately, it is part of the programming because the romance of it is a tragedy. Like, think about Romeo and Juliet, right? A tragedy. A lot of romances are actually tragedies, but in modern times, comedic, romances made the tragedy work out at the end. And so I feel like women are being conditioned and have been conditioned to expect a certain level of turbulence. You know what I'm saying? Right? As part of their love narrative to make it really worth it. Unfortunately, that then finds themselves searching for a leading man. And oftentimes they cast horribly for that role and find themselves in a recurring casting situation. So, I mean, I do get the gist of this question. I do think that women like mystery. I do think women may not want to admit it, but they want to, want a guy, right? They want to desire a guy. If you make it easy for them, then maybe they lose interest easily, right? So there's some of that, I think, at play. But a lot of it, though, is, I think, unfortunately, that women have been conditioned to look for the wrong qualities also in men. S&M talked about like the stoicism and all that. And she's absolutely right. Like, these women may ask for a thing. It's like asking for a Ferrari, but you never drove one. Right? I remember the story about Elon Musk. He wanted a fancy car. I think it was a McLaren when he first got rich. He fucking crashed that shit. He didn't know what the fuck to do with that. So yes, people have desires for things that they've never experienced before. And when they finally get it, they have a challenge. But that's just part of life. It's part of growth. It's part of evolution. You dig what I'm saying? So yeah, I do agree that women are, they're attracted to that kind of stuff. But I don't think it's just simply for the fact that, women just, no, I just think that dopamine, the excitement, all of that, the romance, that plays into the nature of women and the programming of women. And some of us are using that to great effect. So, yeah, I do think there's a lot of truth here. I just think that it make it seem like it's one thing, but I just know that it's not the thirst thing. Like, women absolutely have been turned off by that. And that's unfortunate because I think a man who is intentional, a man who is showing you clear interest, who is consistent about that, that's kind of the guy that you want to lean towards, right? And I get the mystery part, but asking a woman to turn off her vagina desire towards mystery is a lost cause. So it's like, I'm not even going to suggest it. Men have been saying that women should do this for years, and they will fight us to have the right to get dogged. And so, ladies, buck on. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying I get it. Go ahead.
I just want to add this one little sentence here, and that's basically that I know you hit on the word thirsty and how women don't like thirsty men. And I just want to say the reason behind it, that's also socialization, is because we've been socialized to distrust fast affection, right? Because a lot of times when somebody shows up with fast affection, immediate affection, then they have a tendency, that's when they get scared that they're about to be ghosted after that affection ends.
That's cap. That's cap. I'm sorry. I got to call cap on that. I'm going to tell you why. Okay. You said it earlier and I was going to let it slide, right? Because that's cap. That's cap. It got to a point where it just wasn't cool. Women were looking at dudes as nerdy and as corny for expressing real intent and desire. It had nothing to do with all that safety shit. No, somehow y'all got tricked into thinking the motherfucker that actually liked you was corny. That's what the fuck happened a majority of the time. Okay, so I'm not saying that what you're saying is not true. I'm saying, because I mentioned earlier, there was a part in the culture where being romantic, Being expressive, showing clear interest was a thing. Now guys can't even show clear interest because you look thirsty, right? So brothers are being conditioned now to do the mixed signal shit because that's what women are showing them that they clearly are into. You know what I'm saying?
As a result of love bombing.
Huh?
As
No,
a
it's not
result
because
of love bombing.
that is cap. Most women are not experiencing love bombing
I will
like
agree
that.
with
It
that,
is
though.
not as pervasive as y'all are making it seem. There's a lot of homely women out here who would wish to be love bombed on.
That's a
okay,
fact.
stop it. And they're still falling for the mixed signal bullshit. So it's not that, y'all. We got to be honest. Okay? Yes, I agree. They're being conditioned to their own detriment to a thing, but it's not the love bombing shit. It's because they made it seem like it was corny for a man to show real interest. You wonder why the R&B is what it is today. Ain't no brothers talking about no romance shit. You know why? Because it's fucking corny. Y'all let the city girls and all this fucking music bullshit convince y'all that just talking about fucking on the first date, letting you ride in my fucking car is what the fuck romance was. The fuck are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Right? There's a fucking trend going on right now of like Drake wannabes like giving quotes, girl, I would do. The culture is cheap as fuck is what I'm saying. Okay? So yeah, it's not what you're talking about, right? There's no value chivalry anymore. All the nigga corn. There's videos of women right now talking about a guy picked her up. Matter of fact, I'll land with it. I'm sorry. Because she said this recently. She's like, yo, the man came to my house. He picked me up. We might have even talked about it. He picked me up. He treated me with respect. And I was like, oh my God, he's corny as fuck. She had to call her girlfriend like, hey, girl, oh my God, you know what? We say we want this guy, but this guy's right here. And she was conditioned to think the nigga was corny. The end. A lot of y'all be out here looking for cool when you should be looking for fucking corny. Fuck. I'm sorry. Go ahead, though. I'm just drinking my drink.
No, I mean,
blame it on love bombing.
And
Like
even, we could always hear women like, oh, I want a God-fearing man, a man who loves the Lord. So the guy who meets you and says, you know what, God told me that you were going to be my wife. You don't want that guy. Women want the guy who's going to dog walk them for 10 years and try to sue her on the back end. That's confusing.
And furthermore, I know Russell Wilson is minding his own damn business. But the thing that gets me about y'all women folks who are like, oh my God, Russell's praying or Sierra's praying. Y'all wouldn't have fucked with Russell. It took Sierra to fuck with Russell for like, ooh, if y'all would have met the nigga, he's corny.
He's corny.
Y'all wouldn't have fucked with him. But yeah, because she did, now you want you with Russell. No, you don't. You never did. You know what I'm saying? The fuck are y'all talking about, man? Yeah.
I'm just curious, who's doing all the conditioning? You talked about the music. You talked about the music, you talk about entertainment and so forth, but who's leading that conditioning? Is it men or women that's leading that conditioning? I'm just curious.
I mean, I don't know, SNM, you tell me. I done had so many damn women's movements that didn't y'all take some autonomy at some point in time to have
think so,
I'm asking because if you notice, the majority... No, I'm going to go ahead, since you asked me, I'm going to go ahead and put it this way. The majority of music that took out the romance and so forth, that didn't come from women because there's not enough women out there singing about the romance being taken from them. It's actually the guys who actually sing about just fucking on the first date and so forth. Now, I will acknowledge the Little Kims and so forth who brought in that type of music. They're far and few in between. The Nicki Minaj, the WAPs, and so forth, that's still far and few in between before we got to where we are now. But the one that always rapping about bitches and hoes or just doing this and doing that and making that look cool, and even the people who they push, the entertainment industry. So once again, it goes back to socialization and conditioning. So in regards to the toxic, as far as not liking the nerd or the corny person or whatever. And that's why we had a conversation about nice guys in last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever. But I'm just saying that I just find it amazing because the love bombing thing is an issue. There was actually a study done on that too in regards to love bombing. It's also the fact that men have hit it and quit it after they gave that clear interest, and we're disregarding that aspect of it. There are men out there who showed clear interest and then the woman was ghosted. Or I'm just saying that saying that part exists. To say that it doesn't exist, to me, is cap.
I don't think anybody said
Who said it doesn't exist? We hit and quit it all the time. Clear interest doesn't mean drop your drawers. Just because you got snickered out your coochie because a nigga showed you a good time at the fucking Red Lobster is a you problem. The fuck are we talking about?
Got you those biscuits.
Every time a guy showed clear interest, I fucked him. Oh, it didn't work out for me. So let me go over here to the mixed interest guy because at least I don't know.
That's crazy.
Girl, we all want to fuck you. If we fucking with you, what the fuck are you talking about here?
That's crazy. Go ahead.
What are we talking about, SNM?
I'm just
You lead
saying.
women down the
I'm
dark.
just saying. I'm saying that the clear interest it comes with women are wary of the clear
Everything
interest
is
now.
not love
That's what I'm
bombing.
saying.
No, and everything
Okay,
is
no.
not love bombing. Not
I'm not
enough
saying
women
it's
out
love
here
bombing.
getting
I'm not
love
saying
bombed for
everything
real, for
is. I'm
real.
just talking
Oh, he
about.
showed me
That's why I
attention,
just
girl. You
said
love
hit it
bomb
and
me.
quit.
No,
That's why
bitch,
I
he called
talked about
you.
hit it and quit it. I
It's not-
talked about interest. I talked about ghosting, and I talked about love bombing
Okay.
as different ways why people are hesitant when it comes to clear interest. It's like, well, let me watch you, let me vet you a little bit longer before I go ahead, and that's how folks get these mixed signals.
I've
And
been
as a
trying to
matter of
figure out
Right.
how
fact,
women
Yeah.
be picky and still pick the wrong dude.
but here's this
The
what I'm
ticker is broken.
so I just find it
It don't matter.
interesting.
There's no, listen, man. There's no, okay, you can have, somebody can show clear interest and you can still vet them. I don't understand what that's like even a point. Right? If we're talking about men, because I feel like the question was really trying to ask whether or not women are interested in guys who are straightforward about their interests. Now you're going to take it like a different road. Any guy can play, right? So if you're just going to start going down that road, it doesn't matter if it's mixed signals or clear interest. We're assuming that on some level, the guy who is showing clear interest is being intentional. Hey, I want this. I want this. And women are saying, oh, we don't want that. We want the guy that we got to guess. Right. So we don't got to go down a different road just to kind of win the argument of which one is better. I think the reality of it is if somebody is telling you clearly what they're interested in, then that's going to give you as much information as possible to make the better choice. We going down a rigmarole road just to get where exactly?
I was just going to say, it's a minor point. We talked about the music and who changed it. And I know that was in the middle of a blame men for everything speech, but point of information, women are the biggest consumers, right? Period, across all in any market. So if the people weren't buying the music, they wouldn't be making the music. So goes back to women selecting and saying, no, I need a roughneck. I want a roughneck. Another role roughneck. You have a roughneck who's straightforward about his feelings. I'm just saying women fed into the kind of guys who are out there now. If the music changes because the market asked for the change and the market kept asking and buying it. So that's what y'all wanted. Now y'all keep getting what you want, and you keep saying, I don't want that. Surprise me.
And for the record, she said she wanted a roughneck, and she curved Will Smith, and she got the roughneck.
They're referencing MC Light, if I'm not mistaken. This was like 30 years ago. Not to show our age, but 30 years back then, women were taking their own voices and saying, this is the thing that we desire, right? It was making it clear. Or was it? Speaking of not so clear, Stephen A. Smith made it clear that he ain't know Michelle Beadle. I don't know if you guys are aware, but apparently they both worked at ESPN about 10 years ago. Michelle Beadle has had it out for him ever since then. I think it was like a Ray Rice situation that occurred. And then most recently, though, her Sirius XM radio show was kicked to the curb and replaced with, you guessed it, Stephen A. Smith's show. So she's kind of been going on like a little mini rant. She has a new show out. And on that show, she prays for Stephen A. Smith's downfall. So after 10 years of not acknowledging this hating ass bitch, Stephen A. Smith finally decided to shoot back at Michelle Beadle. But apparently there was more to it than that because Carrie Champion, who around the time was also working at ESPN, she's a sister, and apparently Carrie had something to say which surprised the shit out of Stephen A. Because first it was Michelle Beadle. Michelle was talking her talk. And then I think Carrie came out with a video kind of questioning why Stephen A. Smith didn't have that same energy for Michelle Beadle that he may have had for Jasmine Crockett or maybe other Black women. And so Stephen A. Smith was taken aback. But that led to a couple of interesting questions. I think the first one was because that led Stephen A. to ultimately ask, like, between Black men and Black women, every time a Black man, because obviously he disagreed with Jasmine Crockett, we talked about it on the show, that every time a Black man disagrees with a Black woman, it has to be, oh my God, he hates all Black women. He doesn't support Black women. It becomes this Black woman versus Black man thing, as opposed to just being two adults who may have a differing opinion about strategy or about politics, right? So that's one. I think the other thing for me about this story was because Carrie kind of represents that. She was making the case that he was not keeping the same energy, right? And I've heard that a lot. I know that we talked about when we were talking about Stephen A. Smith before, that was a question as well. So what are y'all thoughts about all of this, right? First, keeping the same energy, right? Having energy for Michelle Beadle, but maybe not for Carrie Champion or Jasmine Crockett. I guess I feel like they're intimating something there, or just the idea that as Black men, we can't publicly disagree with Black women without it being more than just a simple disagreement. What are your thoughts on either one of those intriguing topics?
I think it is hard for public figures, and I've not been a huge fan of Stephen A. or I'm not in his rah-rah team or his hype man, but in this case, I think you have to give him some bail. I think you have to give him some grace because there is a need for any community to communicate between its members, right? Now, it's kind of like Kanye said some things years ago, right, that, about slavery or whatever. And I was like, I hate that he said that on the platform he said it. But if you look at it, where is the platform for us to have these conversations, right? And if Black men care about Black women, as we know we do, and if we see something happening to their detriment, shouldn't we say something? Right? Shouldn't we holler loudest for somebody in the family if we think they're in danger? Like, hey, watch out. You know what I mean? Isn't it maybe even a show of concern, possibly, to call these things out? Now, I personally believe a phone call or a text will do for most of these situations. I don't know why we have to take it into the public forum, but except as a cautionary tale. But yet and still, I go on to say, even if the cautionary tale is to draw the attention of your community, right, to other people who may be emulating this particular thing, then at some point you have to accept tough love from your friends. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have one friend to tell you when your outfit ain't right, or if your breath stink, or if you BO, whatever your situation, if you don't have one friend that can tell you what you don't want to hear about yourself, but you need to hear so you can move in the spaces that you move in, even at a greater level, then you don't have any friends, right? So maybe what Stephen A. is doing here is showing that he's a friend of Black women, right? And maybe he just doesn't care enough to exert that much energy of himself in these other conversations in other areas or whatever, right? And maybe we're a little sensitive, ladies. You know what I'm saying? Maybe sometimes I know with women, they like to have their friends all agree with them, right? They don't usually have a friend who disagrees with them. That girl, they don't used to call her around. So I think when it comes to hearing the feedback from our larger community, I think those same emotional ears are still on. I think we're not always prepared for dissent that is based in reason. That might be something you need to listen to. So I would like for the sensitivity to calm down. I would like for the times when Black men are telling Black women things that they perceive from their objective stance. I would like for it not to be automatically labeled as bashing or as tearing down. Just listen. If it has merit, it has merit. If it doesn't, then you call it out as the trash that it is.
Okay, so I'm going to address the first part pertaining to the three individuals mentioned. So first, I just want to say Black women, we have a tendency to be extra protective of each other to the point where sometimes the nuances may get lost. And so therefore, criticism doesn't always have to be an attack. But because we're so protective of each other, that sometimes it may appear as attack to us. And in this particular case, the fact that I didn't know this woman was literally apparently praying for Stephen A. demise. And for him not to actually come at with the same type of passion, could have been he just didn't feel like she was worth that amount of energy, as Jay indicated. But to the woman Carrie, who responded, she probably felt like, hey, this is the person you actually should have had all this smoking energy for, because she's literally preying on your demise. So why don't you have the same type of smoking energy for her that you have for this other individual, aka Jasmine Crockett? But ultimately for this particular three people here, I believe that the real issue wasn't necessarily the disagreement per se, i.e. the disagreement between him and Jasmine Crockett, but actually the ESPN sports culture, where ultimately everybody's competing to get power and camera time. And so if this person has the number one show or a high rated show and you're not necessarily in that same category as of yet, then why not? It's like when rappers beef, right? And so how can I get myself highlighted? How can I get my ratings up? Then by beefing with somebody who already has the ratings, by beefing with somebody who already has the visibility. And while Carrie may have chose the Black woman aspect of it, i.e. how could you come after Jasmine but you ain't have the same energy, it still provided her the camera time that was necessary or that she wanted, and at the same time while also being protective towards Black women. And so that's the first piece. The second piece, I'm actually tired of this gender war. I think that we are sensitive. And initially, when I first heard this, when we talked about it a couple episodes or 3 or 4 episodes ago, I was like, oh, wow, he's trying to police her and so forth. But since then, he has come out multiple times to explain in detail what he meant. And he also came out multiple times to say, hey, so he basically clarified himself over and over again. At some point, how many times does he have to clarify himself? How many different ways can he do this to say, hey, I wasn't coming from a place of toxicity or from a place of like, oh, I'm shaming you. I'm coming from a place of love, respect, and intent. She actually never did come after Stephen A. So you got to wonder why she never came after Stephen A. So perhaps she interpreted the way he meant for her to interpret it. And if she did so, then who are we to continue to judge him or say something negative or continue to feel a certain type of way about the way he spoke of pertaining to Jasmine? I feel like this is a situation that should be dead and gone. But it does bring us to the larger context. There's more and more men, Black men, who are stating that they can't disagree with Black women without being shunned, without being shaken. And that's a problem that we need to fix, because why are we not receptive? If anything, that's probably where the Black manosphere came from, because we were not receptive to them criticizing or critiquing or providing any type of constructive criticism to us. And it became attack on Black women. So we need to take a step back and recognize that not everything is an attack. Sometimes we just need to have conversations so we can move forward as a community.
As she takes a beat there, you still got more S&M or you good, Delvin?
I'm going to land there.
These addies are kicking y'all asses out here, huh?
Yeah. Praying for you guys.
For real.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, the whole praying for a Black man's death, this is not the first time we've seen this. Of course, our most famous case is Kevin Samuels. Probably won't be the last time. I mean, any kind of public critique or criticism, somehow we got to this point where it's immediately considered morally suspect, by the sisterhood at large, especially in public. If you want to disagree in private, I guess fine. But there's something about it being done in public, especially in the media, and when microphones are involved, it's taken really, really sensitive. And I know it came up with the whole acronym, sign language, shame, insult, guilt, need to be right. S&M, you kind of touched on it a little bit too. There's another one called GSR, gossip, shaming, and rallying, rallying other women or other people to your cause. So I think that happened a lot in these cases as well. And I think we're never going to get anywhere, and we're going to go round and round in a lot of these Black men, Black women conversations, whether it's about, dating and mating, politics, whatever, if we automatically assume we're coming from a morally suspect place, especially when your women assume your men are coming from a morally suspect place. Anytime there's any type of critique or criticism, no matter how well stated, no matter how softly spoken, it's immediately labeled as problematic. And Stephen A. did make a really good point, when SM, you're talking about coming to Black women's defense. He said, you know what? If this were Candace Owens, would the same energy have been applied? And I thought that was a really, really good point. So it's not all Black women. It's the right kind of Black women.
Okay. Now, listen, I was going to start off by saying fuck Michelle Beadle, but I think it's important to speak to her point real quickly, because she's the perfect example of white women entitlement to me, right? Like what she has been doing and is doing is the definition of hate, right? When you have negative things to say about someone because you envy their position. She talked about how he fake works hard, or he just wants to work hard. Or she talked about the gazillion. Like if you listen to some of her conversation, I mean, that was just clear hate. And the fact that she felt comfortable to spew it speaks about the difference between our community and theirs sometimes, right? Because in our community, we typically try to shun away from hate. There's not too many Black commentators who probably could have said what she said and we would have looked at it a certain type of way, right? So fuck her. You know what I'm saying? And I think, unfortunately, a lot of us, Black men and women, have to be in spaces with these people who feel like they deserve something they didn't get. And they envy us from afar because we had to work twice as hard as they did just to get into the room. And then even though we were in the room, we were able to far exceed what they were able to do. And it's got to be some other reason. It can't be their mediocrity, right? There's just way too many mediocre people out here thinking they deserve more than they really deserve. Girl, you got what you deserve. You are where you are because you are who you are. and you move through the world that way. I don't think that blessings come to people who think in such small-minded, hateful ways. So, girl, get over yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's why, Stephen A kept on saying, I don't know this woman, right? And I do kind of believe him, because when you're about your business, you don't take time sometimes to pay attention to like gnats along the way, especially gnats who are sitting there begging and screaming for your fucking attention. You get what I'm saying? So she was a nobody to him, which brings me to Carrie Champion, right? Who to me is white adjacent, if I'm being honest. She's like one of the worst type of black women to a certain extent, because if you're a black man who supports black women, Stephen A made the case that if you look at his history, if you look at the support that he has given on his program, she would not have been the moderator of that host of that show had it not been for him. Right. And the reason why I say she's the worst is because when y'all want us to support y'all, we would like a little bit of loyalty back. There's no loyalty with her. I knew what was up with her going way back 10 years ago. The fact that Stephen A still befriended her was a shock to me. There are certain women I've seen move around Stephen A that if it was me, girl, you couldn't come nowhere near me again. Because you took an opportunity to play me because you thought I could be the stepping stone to your next career path, even though I was the one that damn near gave you one to begin with, because that's what Carrie did. When the whole Ray Rice thing happened, she used that opportunity of a misspeak to basically try to dance on that brother, right? Cool. And she polyed her way onto the show with his support. And years later, even though he said and they said, they both still talk, she still wishes him well. She took the opportunity from some white woman coming at him to make a bullshit ass point. She's the worst type of sister, because in truth, I don't think she has loyalty to us like that. And for her to be the one to try to speak up about keeping the same energy, bitch, can you keep the same energy? Do you even fuck with black men for real? Because I suspect she does not. Right? And which brings me to my other point about keeping the same fuck. The more I thought about it through her, thank you, Carrie, because it's you that made me realize how bullshit that entire fucking phrase is when manipulative black women like you use it. And let me tell you why. If you're my friend and I support you and I hold you down, give you opportunities, that's our friendship. That's our energy. I don't know this bitch. I don't fuck with her. I haven't done one thing for her. Then why in the entire fuck would I keep the same energy? It wasn't the same energy before. So why after the fact am I supposed to keep the same fucking energy? The fuck is wrong with somebody? I love black people more, right? Because I'm black. I relate. So when things affect us, it affects me more than it might in other communities. Am I supposed to keep this? If that's the case, when we see injustice happening to other fucking communities, when we're always up in arms for every sign of fucking racism, why aren't y'all keeping the same fucking energy? You know why? Because it's not the same. Then why would you expect the same fucking energy? What she's really trying to do is make it seem like, oh, Stephen A, you value black women less than you value white women is what the fuck she's trying to say without having the balls or whatever testicular fortitude that a woman should have to say that shit straight up. And that's coming from somebody that you've looked out for. Can you imagine how it feels if you looked out for somebody over and over? Monica McNutt, she did the same fucking thing. I fucks with her. I think she's cool. But the minute she had the opportunity, another sister, to step over Stephen A, because I guess he's big enough to deal with it, right? Y'all be wanting support, and then y'all shit on the niggas who give you support, especially when you know the nigga has been supporting you. This ain't a stranger, y'all. This is a nigga that she knew. And she took the opportunity, her clout-chasing ass. Where the fuck did your career go? So most of them are just jealous because Stephen A continued to work his ass up to the top. And so, yeah, any opportunity to shoot a black man down, let's take it. Even if it's making up false narratives like he fucking dissed you, and he never did. You can't find one, and that's real shit, because I watched him. I'm like, bro, I would have kicked your ass to the curb. It was clear. So miss me, especially y'all non-loyal to black men, black women who want to step out every chance you get and shit on niggas, even niggas who support you. Y'all are the worst. You know what I'm saying? And other black women, low-key, should be joining me in this course because they make it hard for other black women, right? Look at the nigga track record. Yo, this ain't Nick caping for Stephen A. I've seen enough black people go through First Take once he took control of that show to see him giving black people, men and women, opportunity in the career field. The fuck are y'all talking about? And I get it, because when we talked about it on the show, everybody had their own opinions. He must know that I get it, right? So yes, every time a black man disagrees with y'all without no fucking evidence, for real, just y'all fucking feelings most of the time, right? And emotional ears and shit, y'all make judgments on niggas. And if I'm the nigga who loves y'all and has been holding y'all down, y'all don't never fucking consider how the fuck that makes that nigga feels. And then the other niggas who don't already want to fuck with y'all, right, are gonna look and see what y'all doing to that nigga and say, see, this is why we don't fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all are disloyal sometimes. I'm sorry, man. That shit fucking bothered me. That keep the same energy shit is basura, right? It's basura because it's not the same person. It's not the same circumstances. Some of y'all will sit there and treat your husbands like shit. And then when you go to the job, you have different energy for your boss, man, but we'll see you keeping the same fucking energy then. You know why? Because they're two different people, two different responsibilities, two different circumstances, right? It's life. So miss me with all that. I hate the fucking fact that what's his name? Charlamagne said it, and it became this thing that y'all motherfuckers ran with because it gives y'all an excuse to not think through anything. Oh, he disagreed with Jasmine Crockett. Now this nigga gotta sit there and come back and repeatedly. And there was niggas who was sitting there jumping on that shit too. And I'm gonna land here. Because his other point was that we complain about the Democrats, right? Cool, right? Who's ran by what group? Or at least who has more attention? Women do, for the most part. And what he was also saying is he would not be bullied by y'all to parrot y'all bullshit ass, weak ass positions. Who the fuck wants to be bullied by Democrats? I mean, come on, right? Even if it is with black women in it. You heard me? You feel me? Sorry, ain't enough of y'all in the Democratic Party to really bully you niggas, what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? Apparently, it wasn't enough of y'all there to bully Trump, neither. You know what I'm saying? Why don't y'all keep the same fucking energy? She should be lucky. Nigga even looked her fucking way. Anyways, man, that's the end. I swear to God. Oh, I swear from God. She is the worst. Oh, Stephen, I'm so sorry you had to deal with that, my brother, but appreciate you continue to support black women because we love black women on the BLC Pod. Anyway, with that being said, I think they're ready to get up out of here. Any final thoughts? That's one of my favorite black women in the world.
So first of all, I felt your energy. I felt your passion. I was rocking with that energy and passion. I didn't actually know the history with Carrie. And that's fucked up is what it boils down to. Because why you going to bite the hand that was trying to feed you or at least got your foot in the door? That's some treacherous ass shit. So, ma'am, I'm going to need you to take 2 seats because that was some bullcorn. However, on to the rest of the show, I'm just going to say that I know we had some laughs and some good times and so forth, but women, I'm just going to tell you this. Please know your mind. If you know for a fact that you're dating with intentions, then don't run from the man that's trying to date you with intentions. If you got a man that's emotionally intelligent and he want to do poly, then maybe that might be the thing for you. I don't know. I'm just saying that there may be times where we might actually have to look at other alternative lifestyles if this is if you're looking for some type of relationship and whatnot. I'm just saying, and once again, I'm team monogamous, so don't get me wrong. So if you're the woman who want to be monogamous, girl, you get that monogamy. Damn it. Don't let nobody tell you don't deserve it. Even if they do think you look dusty or you have no prospects or whatever it is that folks are saying that's wrong with you, you deserve monogamy. I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, Disney, thank you for programming us.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard that. I want to stress that I think the world is so big and it's so cold and it's such a lonely place that when people find happiness, y'all let them live, man. Wherever they find it. If it ain't hurting you, then just let them live. It might be different from what you would do, but just let them make it, right? And shout out to SNM. I mean, this is going to be the last thing I say on this, for real. But shout out to SNM for single-handedly beginning the peace talks in the gender war. She made some very valid points. If you missed them, go back and replay what she said. Lady, she made some great points. It was even some stuff there for the men. SNL, kudos to you, girl. I hope that the peace talks start immediately, and I hope they get you at the table. You know what I mean? Big ups.
Yeah, listen, man, it was a great episode, and what I learned from it, guys, don't pay attention to what women say they want. Only pay attention to what they respond to. You'll go really far in life dealing with the ladies. Completely disregard and ignore what they say they want. Be what they respond to.
I mean, I feel like there's so many different ways I can go with this one, but I'm gonna let it slide. No, because I mean, okay, I'm gonna let it slide. Anyways, I think I want to go hit some more, but then I don't want to do it. Which I think I should just let it be. Maybe leave a little something about.
I mean, I got time today.
No, I'm gonna leave it be. I'm gonna leave it.
Okay,
I think I've done enough. I
Okay.
think I've done enough.
Bring it to the overdrive.
You was cooking, man. You know.
Huh?
So
I
take it
said
to
you
the
were
overdrive.
cooking. Yeah.
You said take it to the.
Keep that same energy in overdrive.
We just said we wasn't gonna say that anymore.
I know. That's why I said it.
Keep that same energy.
I said that, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm gonna just leave it alone. So listen, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and all that good stuff. And of course, we got the merch, y'all. Da, 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 da. That's right. Get the merch. We really appreciate y'all. What a great episode. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. On behalf of myself, SNM Jones, Just Jay, and DelvinTheExpert, and all the feelings that we hurt, we'll see y'all next time on the BLC Pod. Until then, be easy!
Peace.